My name's Todd Ross, and I'm the Managing Director and CEO of Nordic Nickel, ASX-listed nickel sulfide explorer with 2 district-scale projects in the central Lapland greenstone belt of northern Finland.
Good to see you, Todd.
Good to
Welcome
see you.
to London.
Thank you.
But you've been here a while, right?
Been here 10 days or so, yeah.
Nice. You're almost a local.
Yeah.
That's
Fifth
good.
time this year, yeah.
That's good. It's good.
Yep.
It's good. Hey, look, we're at a conference, so you're obviously here, doing the rounds, for walking the streets, as it were.
Yep.
But you've been seeing a lot of investors outside of this conference as
Yes.
well.
Yep.
Plus, you were at last week's conference in
Yep.
London. So, is this story resonating more here in Europe because it's a European asset? Is that
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, look, we are pounding the pavement in Europe purely because investors here understand the thematic of what's going on
Yeah.
with the energy transition in Europe and the need to secure critical minerals. That is absolute front and foremost of people's minds at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why I wanted to catch up with you is because I really liked when we spoke last time out. I think we weren't too far from where we are now. Actually,
No.
I could really like we. I'm intrigued to see how have things progressed, because it's been a sort of, for nickel, it's been a sort of up and down year. I think the price is fairly predictable, so I don't really take note of that. But it's more about industry leaning into this as a class that a commodity which they need to get a hold of. So, what have you done in terms of what you're in control of to tell that story?
Yeah, no. Since we met last year, which I think was in November last year, we've done a lot. The company was literally 5 months old when we first met up last time, and since then we've kicked off our maiden exploration program. Yeah. So if you remember, we've got 240 square kilometre land package.
True.
A main exploration license where we already had a resource out that contains 278,000 tonnes of nickel. We kicked off a drilling campaign there in January. We were also selected by BHP in the Explore program.
That's that one I had, right?
So that was literally this time last year. We were asked to go and pitch, and we were then were lucky enough to be selected.
Yeah.
Which gave us a lot of confidence. We're a company with a big project, and to get the attention of a major early on, first 5 months of our life was fantastic. And this year we've drilled 15,500 metres on the Hot and Barrel license.
Right, and what are we seeing? Obviously, Finland's well known for its mining. So it's got a good history and track record there. It's a good place to do business. You're up in the north, and I know you've also got an asset down south as well, haven't you?
Well, no, we're all in the north. Yeah,
is it all in the north?
Above,
is it right?
above the Arctic Circle? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tell us, give us some of the numbers that you're seeing.
Yep. So of the 15,000 metres that we've drilled, there's 28 holes. We've continued to build on that resource. So the resource is 133 million tonnes. That was based on the 10,000 metres of historical drilling. Now we're going to be able to put out an update to that resource by the end of the year.
Right.
We're continuing to see lots of the disseminated nickel mineralization, which is the Kevitsa style deposit. But at the same time, we're trying to zero in on what we call the Sakatti analog. So we're looking for a high-grade massive sulfide deposit.
Right.
And we're only exploring in this 5 square kilometre area. We've got grades of up to 4.6 this year, but nothing over a metre. It's all been relatively narrow intersections, but that's really encouraging. So what we know, wherever we drill, we're seeing lots of disseminated nickel. So the system was rich in nickel.
Okay.
And there's got to be the accumulations there.
So how do you chase that down? How are you sort of putting all this data together and saying, like, we know where not to drill. We've got a good sense of where we should be drilling, and we've got to put together a good story, because the grades are great, but you got to put that scale together, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's about now using the time that we've got to do the interpretation of that drilling data that we've got. As you mentioned, there's a huge amount of data that's being collected, 25,000 metres in just that one area, plus all the geophysics that's been done. Now we're doing a structural interpretation. That's critical. The structure is going to allow us to vector in on where the high-grade zones are. And there's a lot of good work being done by the team in Finland and our geos in Australia at the moment to really start planning for next year's drill campaign.
Great. And so where are we with the plan, as it were? Are you seeing enough data to say, the plan is good, it's solid, we'll hold, and we'll keep moving, advancing that? Or are you having to adjust?
No. I mean, we're well and truly now planning to go ahead again, and in winter. So as soon as we can get a rig out there in probably January, February next year, looking to do another 4,500 metres on top of the 15 that we've done.
Yeah.
And that's really trying to vector in on those high grade zones where a combination of the mag highs and the fixed loop EM plates and the moving loop EM plates, and the structural interpretation that's going to allow us to vector in on the high grade zones.
Sweet. And that's funded?
Yeah. At this stage, we're working through the process of funding for that.
Okay.
So we need to get some more money in the tin for sure.
Okay, fine. And you must do that in the context of looking around the market. Obviously, we've seen a dip in the nickel price. It was expected. I think we called it 6 months ago. We know what the inventory levels are like out there. Nothing to necessarily to do with Indonesia per se. It's just the way the market works. We'll pick up again in the new year. So in terms of the timing of the raising, I know you're conscious of all the above. The money. You're saying there's better reception here in Europe. Do you expect the money to come from Europe as a result?
We're expecting more of it to come from Europe. Yeah. There's more appetite from investors here, but also beyond just investors, we're seeing the OEMs, the car manufacturers,
for sure,
that are well and truly looking for access to material, even if it's 3 to 5 years down the track.
Yeah,
and they're willing to partner up early. Obviously you mentioned BHP as a major mining company looking to partner up early. So we're in lots of strategic discussions on the go at the moment, plus getting good reception from investors in Europe as well.
Yeah, I mean, so early days for you guys, like 18 months old, okay, but you have done a lot of drilling. You're having, I would say a good amount of success as well as a result in the right part of the world. That European ecosystem for OEMs and battery manufacturers as well, not bad place to be. And you've talked about those guys, are you also sort of seeing the ability to kind of tap into the tax incentives, tax breaks, and other kind of EU money?
It's a minefield of trying to navigate exactly where that money's going to come from. A lot of that money at the moment, we know there's money there, but it's going into R&D and it's going sort of more downstream processing, into that space. Getting it into grassroots exploration is the challenge, and navigating all of that hasn't really been available to us yet. But what we are seeing is, at least certainly in Finland, some benefits of the permitting process timeframes. That's definitely getting quicker, and they're resourcing up to be able to turn to permitting around. But we haven't seen any access to EU funds at this stage.
Okay, no, it's one of those things people start exploring because there's so much washing around at the moment, and it's new money coming through all the time.
Yeah,
the ecosystem. One of the kind of, I guess, long poles in the tent is people, access to people, cost of people, and and timing the right kind of introducing the right kind of skill sets into the company. What are you seeing in Finland? Because like I said, it's got that history. But are the people still there?
I'm a Perth guy that's grown up in the mining industry. In banking for 25 years in metals and mining in Perth. I said to someone today, I know what a mining town looks like. And when I first arrived in Finland, July last year, the two towns that we operate out of are mining towns, like well and truly. The majority of the people there are either geos or mining engineers, or the towns that service Anglo-American, Boliden, Agnico Eagle. So there's lots of availability, and they're very, the Finns are very highly educated and very technically competent. So we're not seeing a shortage of people available. The problem is in Finland, it's mostly campaign work. So if you're going to be drilling, everyone wants to be drilling in winter. So trying to get access to people in that time frame. But in saying that, we've appointed a country manager. We've appointed a chief sustainability manager in Finland. They're well and truly connected in the country. And we've also got our geotechnical and geological services businesses in Finland that we're tapping into. Plus, we're building out our capabilities in Australia. So we're not worried about that. I think we've got a really good team around us now. And we're building up that model and that understanding and knowledge of the country. But, it's just a matter of putting the money in the ground and drilling the holes. Yeah, well,
absolutely. And I look forward to seeing more of the results come through. Just in terms of that, the kind of Aussie-Europe thing, because it's like it gets kind of complicated in a way. So different countries like different jurisdictions, etc. For you, is there... Well, is it just being discussed in terms of either Frankfurt listing, which is sort of cheap and quick, but it gives people access to kind of, that European capital, or AIM, which is slightly more expensive and a little bit more ponderous in a way. Is that on the radar?
Look, it's something we continue to look at. We're only 18 months old, but it's definitely been flagged by investors. Depends on what sort of market you want to tap into. Obviously, if we're doing placements, most of the sophisticated investors and the funds are happy to come in on placements for Aussie-listed companies. Yeah. But I do think, having more of a retail presence through a Frankfurt listing, through a London listing is probably going to be something we need to do down the track.
Yeah, because I think the Aussies have they've got some really good nickel projects, but not a lot of them.
No.
So it's perhaps not as well studied.
No,
by retail for sure.
And understanding Europe, and the thematic is critical, and obviously the investors in here will understand that more than the Australian investors do. And understanding that whole environment about permitting and everything else, and being able to develop a project. Everyone you talk to here in Europe realise that if you're going to develop a project in Europe, being in Finland is probably one of the best countries you want to be in.
For sure. For sure. No, you're in the right spot, definitely. Well, look, Todd, I appreciate the update, man. And thanks for making time, because I'm busy over there, right?
Yeah, no, it's very busy. This has been great.
Good. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Cheers.